Welcome back to Gold Derby. I'm Christopher Rosen. I'm joined by Joyce saying, Joyce, sound the alarm. The Emmy nominations are here.
Sure. You
One of
again,
these
you
years,
didn't have an alarm.
one of these years, I'm going to get an air horn and just blast it into my microphone
You
here.
should really be more prepared if you're gonna open these episodes like this.
We
And
just
you're
kind of
never
go off the cuff. There's no prep here. Joyce, the Emmy nominations, hot off the presses an hour ago. But Shōgun led the way with 25 nominations. The Bear, a record for a comedy series with 23 nominations. Only Murders, 21 nominations. True Detective, 19. The Crown, 18. Saturday Night Live, Back with a Vengeance with 17. And then this 16, I just wanted to get down to 16 before I ask your thoughts, because this is like the Chris Burner section. 16 nominations. Fallout, Hacks, The Morning Show, and Mr. and Mrs. Smith. All tied with 16 nominations. Those are all my faves.
Yeah. Sweet 16.
Great.
Um, I mean, I feel like these are, the shows that people expected to led,
Yes.
right? But I think a lot of people expected those leaders to have more nominations, and they all underwhelmed
So,
in some way.
so let me ask you, that's the first great place to start. Dare I say, even with the record nominations for The Bear and 25 nominations for Shōgun, did those shows somewhat underperform?
Yes, they did. They did.
Okay. Explain then. How?
I mean, they missed certain key acting nominations that many of us predicted. I mean, I personally feel vindicated because I've been saying for months about how people are over predicting acting nominations for Shogun.
I felt like this was a great day for Joyce because I was like, she also was wildly out on Emma Stone for a while. Did you have her in at the end or did you stop
I
her?
know I dropped her, but like I had her in six just because I needed a body there, but I was never serious about her.
You,
So I
you
picked
were
the wrong
out on
Carrie. I had Preston instead of Coon.
you were out on Emma Stone for months. I feel like everybody else had her. People had her winning, Joyce. So I feel like you should take a victory lap for that for sure because she missed the curse. Unsurprisingly, probably zero nominations. Completely repelled the Academy.
Yeah, like not even like writing.
Nothing.
No.
Just straight up, not a single one.
Yeah.
Here's how you know it was a wacky Emmy nominations, and then we'll get back to like the underperforming perhaps of those top shows. Uh, the Sympathizer, The Regime, and The Curse combined had less nominations than Winning Time.
Winning Time, your fave.
So, so Chris
Congratulations on
vindicated.
the directing nomination. And then we got a his and hers well, another pair, but not the one that most people were predicting, with Carrie Coon and Tracy Letts. Because a lot of
Fantastic.
people, including me, had Michael Emerson and Carrie Preston.
Correct. I
Yeah.
did too. Didn't happen.
Yeah. We also got Naomi Watts and Billy Crudup, which was predicted mostly.
Uh, yeah, that was. We'll get to the feud. When we get to limited series. Great day for feud and fellow travelers' choice, which we both shit on basically the entire season.
No, I mean maybe you did, but I never shat on it. Like I've
Well,
always been very upfront about,
it predicted.
yeah, like I literally said last week that it would get in for its actors before series, which it did.
Yeah,
So
but we didn't predict it though. I mean, I had Jonathan Bailey at the end because I
yeah,
was
you had
bullied.
you had him in there.
I had
So
him in there because I was
yeah.
bullied. So yeah, Shogun missing multiple acting nominations. Cosmo Jarvis not in.
No supporting actresses.
None of the supporting actors. Moka Hoshi not in.
Um, and it only got two supporting actors. I made a change yesterday, and once again, I swapped the wrong person for the wrong person because I was like, I think like because I had three Shogun supporting actors, and I was like, I think that's too many, and I'm gonna go down to two, but I dropped the wrong one because I
Ah,
went to Kira for Salim Dahl when I should have dropped Takuma Nishioka for Jonathan Price. So made the wrong choice. Thought
good
process, but the
thinking.
wrong choice.
Good thinking. Takehiro Hira, I would wonder if he got in just for name recognition. He seems more, at least in for Western audiences, probably more recognizable as an actor. He's been in a
I
lot
think
of
I
things.
think it's also like he's part of like this season long story, like he's the villain, right? Whereas like Takuma really had his major moment late in the season, right? That's like really the only big moment for him
Yeah.
towards the end. So maybe yeah, that was like, but I don't know, like he's also like the veteran Like I think like his high is greater than Takehiro's high, right? Like I
Agreed.
feel like Takehiro's more consistent throughout the season, but yeah, so it didn't max out on acting, but neither did the bear.
And the Bear also missing a lot of key nominations. We talked about this, I guess, last week when we did our picks, but I'm not surprised Maddie Matheson missed because, as it turns out, I don't think that character is really interesting for audiences. So, but I was really surprised that Oliver Platt missed because, like, how does he miss there? I couldn't even wrap my head around that one.
He missed because they just didn't go all out for the bear like we expected them to, like they did with Succession or The White Lotus, you know. And I don't know, like if I've talked about it on here, like on the record, or just like with other people, privately, but like Succession and The White Lotus are just more ensemble type of shows, right?
Hmm.
Where there's like multiple people with like sort of like even screen time and like like a lot of characters you really care about, and like distinct storylines and personalities for characters, whereas like the bear is really like the Carmi, especially like I know this is not for season 3, but like it's like the Carmi story, right? And then
Okay.
it's like, you know, with like Aya going back and forth between supporting and lead, right? I mean, I guess you would say like the core three is Carmi, Sydney, and Richie,
Yes.
right? And then it's just like these other characters. I mean, you would say the same thing about Hacks, right? It's like it's just like about Deborah and Ava, and then like all these other characters that we all like, but it's not really ensemble. So I feel like that's why it's easier for shows like Succession and The White Lotus to max out on acting nominations.
Do you think so? Like, I was thinking this too. Okay, so for in terms of the Bear, so the Bear gets in Lionel Boyce and Liza Colon-Zayas. I think who, if you're ranking as
No, Abby Elliott.
no Abby Elliott either. So if you're ranking, and maybe that'll change for season 3 because she had that big episode in season 3. But I guess I was like you said, like I think you're right. Like the core characters on the Bear are Richie, Sydney, and Carmi, and then it's Lionel Boyce and it's Marcus and Tina, right?
Mhm.
And then in terms of Hacks, like exactly right, it's Ava and Deborah, and then this year Jimmy, like fantastic, right?
Got
Like
in CWD.
Paul W. Downs got in, and so yeah, I wonder if that's it. That so is it actually an underperformer? Were we overestimating? I guess that they were going to stack the ballot for these shows, where it's like you wouldn't really pick. I mean, uh, Oliver Platt really was like an upgraded guest star. I mean, you know what I mean? Like it's not like he had a lot to do in season 2. He was just in more episodes.
Yeah, but I think it's just if they had gotten in, it's just confirmation of the strength of the show. Whereas now I think like if especially if you're like a hack stan, you could be like, oh, like this is like a great opening for hacks maybe to win series, right? Like the acting branch is not completely behind the bear.
Or would you say, do you think it's Only Murders? Because Only Murders way overperformed to me. I mean, like Paul Rudd, we didn't take him seriously for months, and he's in there.
He's
Meryl,
in
most
there.
people had in. I had her out, obviously, but I'll
Yeah,
take a huge L for Paul Rudd. We completely were just like not happening. Completely wrote him
it's
off.
there is like especially when they're announcing the limited categories first, like those were all chalk. I was just
Pretty
like, this is
much.
incredibly boring.
Yes.
It was just like the top six, whatever in the odds, whatever, you know, the predicted nominees. I'm like, they just like copy and pasted these,
Yes.
basically.
Naomi Watts getting in, like a lot of the
Yeah.
usuals.
So, and then yeah, and like series two with Ripley. So no All the Light we cannot see, sadly,
No
or
Light we
Fox
cannot
in
see.
the
No
Air.
Masters of the Air, which only got 3 nominations.
Yeah. So, but then they got fun with comedy and drama. By that point though, they had uploaded all the nominations on the website, so I wasn't even paying attention to the announcement anymore.
Yeah,
And I
that's
was just like looking through the docs.
a sweet surprise there that it just is uploaded on the
They do
website.
this every year. It's like
Yeah.
mid-announcement.
Yeah.
This is a pro tip for any of you guys following Emmy nominations. Like a couple minutes into the live announcement, they'll upload all the docs on the Emmy site. So just keep refreshing,
Yeah.
and then like they'll be there.
Emmy's great job with we got
They're always the best with the docs and the facts.
just a fantastic amount of information available, easily available, loading perfectly. Nothing to complain about here. It's a fantastic job by the Television Academy.
Yeah. I mean, I guess we could just do like comedy, like overall, but like
Well,
for
we're here.
comedy series, Abbott, it got 9 nominations.
Yes.
The Bear with 23,
Yes.
Curb Your Enthusiasm with just 4, Hacks of 16, Only Murders with 21, Palm Royale, your fave, with 11, Reservation Dogs with 4, and What We Do in the Shadows with 8. So John Landgraf really happy somewhere.
But John Landgraf was right on Reservation Dogs. I should have stuck with it. I know you did. You just kept that in The Gentleman. It ended up being Palm Royale and Reservation Dogs as the last 2 spots.
Yeah.
Which,
So Rough for the Gentleman, it got into directing for Guy Ritchie,
yes.
but no series or Theo James. And yeah, Res Dogs. I think it's just it got other nominations too that the Fear of Lunatic, and I feel like this is an example that we've talked about before of like we don't know like how close it's been, right? It's like the same thing with Selena Gomez who got in. Like we don't know how close she's been in the years she's missed. Like it just probably means like they just needed to wait for the field to thin out and then they can get in. Right? It's like Matt Berry with What We Do in the Shadows.
Well, let me ask you this as a dummy. We had been expecting, based on math, that there would be 5 nominees in the lead actor and actress for comedy, and then there are 6 nominees.
There were like rumors that they brought back the 2% rule, but I think it was probably just a tie in one of the categories. So then, to achieve parity, the other one
Has to be 6.
6 too. Like let's say maybe it was Matt and DeFaro who tied. So it's like, oh, there's gonna be 6 here. So then comedy actors needs to have 6.
But we'll never know how they came.
No, we'll never know unless like they come out and say like
pretty
there was
interesting
a tie here. Or
it's funny because like so I ended I wouldn't have gotten 5. I wouldn't have gotten 6 out of 6 in the actor because I did not have either DeFaro Unatai or Matt Berry. And I guess if I had 6, maybe I would have gone to DeFaro Unatai. I would have kept Theo James though for sure. But with the actress, I know,
like everyone would have gotten 6.
Everyone would have gotten 6 out of 6 because
I guess some people would have predicted Devery Jacobs.
Maybe, but it felt like it was really between like the 2 SNL people and Maya Rudolph and Kristen Wiig and Selena Gomez, and they all get in, obviously.
Yeah.
The others were pretty set.
Yeah, but what you were saying about like Murders overperforming with 21, I think we've always said that like it's a show they obviously like. Like I don't think it will like ever really win a major Emmy like on the main show, right? But this is an established series. This was a weak year, obviously, with the strikes and everything. And there was room for them to just check off something they like and have watched. So I think that's also why like Paul got in, right? And Selena. It's like this is familiar to them, right? And then there's a dearth of competition, like that maybe was blocking someone like Selena before and like Steve Martin last year.
Right.
And
like you said, if they're treating The Bear not like it's White Lotus in Succession, they're not stuffing the ballot for that. And that's how Paul Rudd and Bowen Yang get in instead of 2 other Bear guys who they're less interested in. Let's say.
Like they even did Matthew Broderick, and guest, right? So like I think it's like a combination of like the weaker field, and then you also have these like big names too on this show that we already know that they like and have watched.
Right. They definitely went this year. We've talked about this. They don't usually go for the big names, but I feel like with Robert Downey Jr., Lily Gladstone, and Devon Joy Randolph all getting nominated, not Emma Stone though. But it's funny to me that Robert Downey Jr. is the only nomination for The Sympathizer, which I would say
like there was like this is like definitely a real thing. I dropped Hua Shande yesterday.
Who'd you put him in instead?
I put Tony Shalhoub back in,
Nice.
so because I was gonna either do Tony or Matt, so it was like one of the SAG nominees.
Yeah,
I was keeping Tom Hollander.
I dropped Tom Hollander for a while, and I kept David Oyelowo and missed that.
They don't do success, man.
Yeah, I know.
That's a SAG thing.
So yeah, Netflix nothing in series because of The Gentleman Miss, and Girls 5 Eva also missed. Though it did get in for writing and song choice.
Yeah, Sarah Bareilles, a nominee for Medium Time, a fantastic song.
Great.
And also great since she wasn't submitted for her Only Murder song. But Only Murder obviously was also nominated for Pickwick Triplets. And John Hawkes, double nominee, he's also nominated for his True Detective song.
Pretty fun. So I don't know. I mean, like in terms of like, I agree. I think The Bear underperformed. I think Hacks did really well. Like didn't didn't miss anything that I would say that it needed to get, right? It would have been overperformed if it got like Meg Stalter in, or maybe
Yeah.
more of or its guests. I mean, J. Smith Cameron missing Field felt like a big surprise to me, but I don't know, maybe not, I guess.
Yeah, but like that, um, like they did like double SNL with their faves, Maya and
Yes.
Kristen, you know.
And Kenan
So
Molson from Hacks was the standout of the season. Olivia and Jamie Lee Curtis, obviously, as well. So,
yeah.
and Devon Joy Randolph for Only Murders, which I would say is maybe more a sign of name checking than things to do on the show, but they also really liked Only Murders. I guess I would say, like, you think Only Murders can win? No, right?
I knew you would say this. You do this all the time. You overreact to something that did really well.
So I'm not overreacting, but I'm just like, I guess I don't think I was I don't think Hacks did. Oh, except Haxton to me didn't overperform. The only one that really overperformed here, even though the Bear broke a record of nominations set by 30 Rock, is Only Murders because it got. I guess, but maybe that was my own blind spot because like I never thought Paul Rudd was a serious contender, and he was always in the top six. So most people watching this or who predicted probably had him in, right? Like you'd have to be a dummy like me maybe to have him out. So I'm like, okay, like he was an easy one to get in. Matthew Broderick, I saw some people mention him, but he felt like not really serious. And then like it gets to in that and Selena Gomez I had in, so maybe it didn't really overperform. Maybe it was just fine, and the Bear is going to cruise to a win anyway, or maybe Hacks wins. I don't know.
But I think like I mean like I didn't have Paul Rudd either. Like I was like this is not like I don't think it's serious, but I think it's just like they saw the show and they like the show. It's one of the older shows.
Right,
Older as in released earlier in the
right,
cycle
right.
because
Yeah.
it released last summer. So like they've caught up on it. And I think it's like it's a show they like. Like we know this, right? Like it's just not gonna win like anything major, you
Right.
know?
I,
So
I guess I would say also we spent a lot of time talking about how Hacks is the best season yet. Abbott was a great season. This is definitely maybe for at least for me. I don't know. Did you like? I thought this was not the best season of Only Murders, but it was like better than the last season to me.
I like the season. I know some people didn't like it, but I think they just didn't like the Broadway
Right.
aspect of it. But I mean, like Only Murders also fell out of writing.
Right.
So you can't say, it got these additional acting nominations. It got into categories it never previously been in before, but in this writing for the first
Not
time. I love the writing lineup. It's so great.
what's the
It's
writing lineup choice?
Abbott Elementary back in after it's not going to be a Maisel because Maisel won for its pilot and never got nominated again. So Abbott made it back in after being dropped last year. The Bear for Fishes. Girls Five Eva also back in.
Incredible.
Yeah,
For the best episode by far of this last
Orlando.
season. Orlando.
It was nominated for its first season. Hacks for the finale, Bulletproof, obviously. The other two back-to-back nominations for Brooke hosts A Night of Undeniable Good and What We Do in the Shadows for Pride Parade. So former
So,
nominee. You know the writers branch loves shadows. So
so
this is a great lineup, and I think Res Dogs would have made it had it not oversubmitted.
so then maybe Only Murders doesn't win, then maybe Hacks does. I mean, like, what do you think here, like in the writing and directing? Does any like I guess let me like we're not going to do our picks this week. Maybe we'll do them next week, Joyce. But I guess overall, like, does it you like what is this like the way these shows performed? Have you thinking in terms of like writing and directing, and then I guess series?
I
Anything
mean, I think
different?
the Bear can still win the
Just
sweep,
steamroll,
so
right? Like,
it's the windows.
okay,
So, I mean, directing is Abbott in for the first time. The Bear double noms for Fishes and Honeydew.
which we
The
probably
Gentleman
yeah.
for Guy Ritchie, Axe, and the Miss Pat Show
For
in
the
the multicam slot.
multi-cam slot.
So Miss Pat Show is stronger than James Burrows for
Yes,
Frasier.
yes,
Yeah.
yes. Uh, let me ask you. Let me give you a nightmare scenario, I guess, for us because we're like big Hacks fans, obviously. Maybe not nightmare is the wrong word, but without Abby Elliott there, with the great season 3 episode for the Bear, does Liza Colon-Zayas just win supporting actress, and does the Bear then basically win 3 of the 4 acting categories, and then potentially Io upsets Jean in actress?
No,
You don't think that'll happen?
no. I think remember what um Cheryl Lee Ralph said when she was reading the comedy actress nominees.
I didn't think I was listening by that point.
She said Jean Smart, I love her.
Okay.
And I think everyone loves Jean Hacks. I also know someone who was talking to someone involved with the bear,
Okay. I like this tea, Joyce.
and
Tea.
they said that obviously they are they want Io to win for the bear, but they personally are rooting for Jean because they just love her. And I think that is like the sentiment.
So Jean goes all the way. Hard to deny. I would say almost an undeniable performance. So like, why wouldn't she win? But do you think Liza could beat Hannah then? Like, is this potentially not the worst case scenario? Because there's obviously worse cases, but like, was this a tough scenario for Hannah to win a deserved Emmy for the third season?
No, because like I said when we were talking about the Bear season 3 a couple weeks ago, I don't think napkins is a forks. And I think that has borne out, and also like the reaction to not just to the season, but just like it's like, yeah, like I feel like last year there were after Forks, the season drop, season 2, there was so many comments and tweets and everyone just being like, give Evan the Emmy, right? Like not as much this year, even though like everyone's like, that was a great episode for Liza, like she should have an Emmy, but it's not as effusive.
Okay.
Whereas like you had that effusiveness for Hannah after the finale of
I
season 3.
I don't disagree. I do think that it's much closer than we think now. I think this was like not a great
Abby wasn't nominated.
that Abby wasn't nominated because like in terms of season two, they're both fine. And like the help of the season three would have helped either one of them in terms of their nomination. And I had expect like after season three premiered and like I just was ranking these in the nominations. I had like Hannah still obviously clear number one. And then in my head, I was like, it would be like Liza and Abby 2 and 3 in this category. But now without Abby there, I feel like Liza is very much closer to Hannah than she was, 2 hours ago, and just in the general idea of it. I don't know. I don't think it's I think if they just are like down the line for Bear, then like that would be not a great thing for Hannah Einbinder's chances.
I think you're just too worried about Abby not being here.
I think it's just I don't mind that she didn't got snubbed, but I do think it changes the calculus of this category.
I mean, it doesn't really for me because I always thought Liza was going to be more competitive than Abby anyway, like even if Abby were here.
You felt like
So,
Liza
and
was
I
going to
think
be
like the
like
only reason we took Abby seriously was because she got that surprise Globe nomination. Like, would we have been, I guess, at this point, over predicting Abby had she not gotten at the Globes, right?
I don't think if Hacks didn't do so, I mean Hacks, if the Bear hadn't done so well at all these other places, I don't think Abby or Maddie Matheson would have been like legitimate contenders. And as it turns out, maybe they weren't because neither one of them got in. But just based on the show, because I think what you're saying before was true. If you watch the show, those are not characters where you're just like got to get them. They're not as compelling as like Nicholas Braun or like Sydney Sweeney or whoever from these shows, like you said, like White Lotus Succession, which are like 8, 9, 10 deep in the ensemble, and even these like smaller characters have great
Yeah, they have
standout
like individual
moments.
relationships with other characters.
Right? It's like it's not like those shows. These shows are not like that. Like so, I'm not surprised, I guess, in hindsight that they missed. I don't know. I just think that that's not the greatest. I feel like Hannah should still win, and Hacks did really well. But I think Liza Colon-Zayas, it's easy to imagine. To me, it's very easy to imagine her winning, and maybe the Bear winning 3 of the 4 again, in at the Emmys.
I think that it will probably like the Bear would probably take the male acting categories, and Hacks would probably take the female acting categories. I mean, we haven't even read the nominations yet, but like lead actor is Matt Berry for Shadows, Larry David, Curb, Steve Martin back in for Only Murders, Martin Short, Only Murders, Jeremy Allen White will win again.
Not
And
a really competitive category to me.
no, but like that's like an easy win for Jeremy. So I think like that's done, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
lead actress Quinta Brunson, Io Debris, Selena Gomez, Maya Rudolph, Jean Smart, Kristen Wiig. So I mean, I think everyone would say it's between Jean and Io, but I think Jean's ahead.
Same.
Um, and then supporting actor, Lionel Boyce, Paul W. Downs, Evan Moss Backrack, Paul Rudd, Tyler James Williams, and Bowen Yang back for SNL.
It's funny. I'm not surprised by that because I had him in if it was 7, but when it dropped to 6, I was like, oh, he's gonna miss, but he didn't. So I
Yeah.
was wrong.
And then same deal with my logic with Maya and Kristen in lead. It's like they when the field is empty, they turn to their SNL faves.
Mhm.
And I guess like supporting actor wasn't as empty, it just lost a slot, but they were just apathetic about these other people.
They just didn't go full, like we said, they didn't
They
go, I'll
didn't go full
require
bear.
the bear.
Yeah.
That's it. So then there's room. Then there was room if you're not going to have 4 bear guys there, if you only have 2.
Yeah.
I agree. I think Evan Moss Backrack will obviously go back to back.
Yeah. And then supporting actress, Cal Burnett, who we haven't even mentioned yet,
So,
Paul Royale, Liza, Hannah, Janelle James, who you
yes,
were trying to manifest a snub for,
I went out
Cheryl,
on,
and Meryl, who you were also calling a snub for.
I mean, I said I was wrong with these. I knew they were wild
I
picks.
know, but I understand like calling one snub, but like the double snubs.
Just go for, I don't, like, we've talked about this. I don't care if I get these right or wrong.
Oh
I'd
no,
rather be
absolutely
right.
not. I don't
Yeah.
care. It's just
I'd rather be
hilarious.
right. I explained my logic. I didn't actually think they would. I guess I was surprised. The thing I'm most surprised by is in this comedy categories, beyond the bear missing, though I think, like I said, in hindsight, the people who missed do make sense to me. I guess I'm surprised that they were that, like, for Only Murders, a show they liked. I was surprised that they went as full as they did in the acting categories, but like you said, it's a cleared out season. So maybe that's why they just went back to familiar things. And it's Paul Rudd and Meryl Streep, who are like very famous people. So of course they would get in. And then Lisa Ann Walter, I feel like if she couldn't get in here, like this year, I'm just like, when is she ever going to get in for this show?
She probably needs like 8 slots and a week field.
8 slots. I'm like, 1 or 2 of these shows not on cycle, basically.
So I mean, hey, it was 8 slots 2 years ago. So
I know. I just was like, I really thought she would get in this year. And I think if you watch the show, we've talked about this. I thought she definitely it had more to do than Janelle. Not
no,
that Janelle
I
was
was
any
just
worse.
not. I mean, I understand your logic with that, but I also don't think they are like they like the show, but I don't think they're watching it that closely. Like it's
Yeah.
not one of their faves. Like this show, I mean, speaking of like, shows they like, I mean, last year we all expected this to expand for second season nominations. It did not. And it could have expanded this year, right? Like, but it didn't. Like they like Only Murders more.
As it turns out, yes, they do. So that's why like Meryl got in.
So like the Lisa nom, like I mean I had her in when we thought it was 7 slots, but it became very clear, like, you know, disregarding the storylines in the show, that it was like the show is probably just not gonna expand, and it's at the point where it might start losing slots. So like I don't think you were wrong with the Janelle snub, prediction. Like I think that was something that was on the table, but
Maybe a
I
year
think
early.
but I don't think Lisa would get in over her,
Right.
because I don't think they like the show
Right.
that much to switch out someone like that. Like I think it would have made more sense if Janelle were snubbed for, I don't know, like Allison Janney, right?
Or Carol Burnett, as it turns out, who gets
I
in.
mean,
So
Carol's got in. I'm saying like Allison got in.
right. Also,
Yeah.
Carol Burnett getting in is, again, like we
For
talked about
being in a
this.
coma for half the season.
She's a guest. She's like an upgraded guest actress because she's like in a coma for multiple episodes. And then she's very, very funny and good in her awake episodes towards the end of the season. I would say this about Palm Royale, which I liked more than you, I guess, but we neither one of us took it super seriously as a
Well,
nominee.
it just wasn't like a huge
I
hit, which is like usually what you need for apples. But
I I thought this, and this is why I was like, whatever you want to say about the season, I was like, I think the pilot is good and the finale is great, and everything in the middle I found like very, very, very hit and miss. And I think if you're watching the show or if you watch the finale, you'd be like, yeah, these are great. Like Kristen Wiig in the finale is amazing. I think she's like, it was like one of her best things I've ever seen her do, including Bridesmaids and anything on SNL. I thought her performance is great. And Carol Burnett in the finale is also really good. So much so that I'm like, I wonder how close Ricky Martin came to getting nominated, which is a joke. But I actually think the way the show performed and based on who got nominated, I think they were paying attention to the finale a little. Like, I wonder if he could have gotten in too in supporting actor. Maybe if it was an extra slot, it would have been like Allison Janney and Ricky Martin. I don't know, but I'm just like, it feels like to me that was a show that ended really strong. We'll come back for a second season, and people were very excited about that. It leaves you on at least an enthusiastic note going into the next at the end, and I feel like that maybe really helped its chance. It's how it performed here.
I'm not surprised it was just, Kristen and Carol. Like,
Yeah.
I think a lot of, like, some people probably had that. I mean, I know a lot of people definitely had that back in March or like even February,
Oh yeah, sure. I mean, like, it's not like, and maybe that's another thing, that it was early, right? Like, the show is early-ish.
Yeah, it premiered in March.
So
And then for comedy guest actor, John Bernthal, The Bear, Matthew Broderick, Ryan Gosling, SNL, Christopher Lloyd, Hacks, Bob Odenkirk, The Bear, and Will Poulter, The Bear. No Mulaney.
So I had 5 of the 6. I had Christopher McDonald, and so did you.
Mhm.
And
They only did one Chris.
only one Christopher Lloyd for Hacks. I had switched to Christopher Lloyd. That was one switch I made after we recorded,
You
because I
dropped
had Hal
Hal
Linden.
Linden.
I did, because I was just like, it's too obscure, and it's just like being too cute as I snub like Janelle James and Meryl Streep. I was like, fuck this. I gotta at least have one obvious one. I can't just keep going for these long shots. I'm surprised Christopher McDonald didn't make it in, because they clearly like Hacks and watch the show, and I'm just like, how did he not get in? He had so many good moments. It's like, it was really good. But they went all the Bear and Gosling for SNL, and now I guess the question becomes, like, can Gosling win does the Bear trio here split, and does Gosling actually win, or are they just going to go Bear because it's the Bear? They didn't do that last year for Bernthal, at least, which we thought maybe they would.
For his 3-second cameo, and then they had to create the John Bernthal rule
Yes.
for guest submissions. Yeah, like Ryan can win, I think. Like, I don't know if like the 3 Bears would split that way.
I don't think so either. And then in terms of like season 3, if you're using that to gauge like how these guys might do in season 2, Odenkirk obviously not in season 3. Will Poulter is awesome in season 3, but I don't think he's awesome enough to overcome Bernthal in season 3. So like Bernthal probably still the front runner of the Bear group here. That would be my takeaway.
I mean, we were all thinking last year that Bear season 2 would help
Yes.
Bernthal season 1.
And so then I'm like, maybe Gosling just wins, because it's like, again, that was like such a huge episode, and like people do love Ryan Gosling, rightfully so.
Yeah. And
then guest
actress,
yeah.
Olivia Colman, The Bear, Jamie Lee Curtis, The Bear, Kaylin Olsen, Hacks, Davon Joy Randolph, Murders, and Maya and Kristen for SNL. I would love it so much if Maya just wins this, because they love her. She got all 4 nominations that she was on the ballot for.
We talked about it, and she got all 4 of them. I think she could easily win this, but I think Jamie Lee will probably win. But I would say Maya is like probably close second at this point, based on how much they love her.
I mean, like, Caitlyn should win.
If it was on merit, Caitlyn would win, but she won't. So it's not a meritocracy, Joyce. It's the Emmy Awards. Come on, what are you talking about?
It's not just the Emmy Awards; it's all awards. No awards show is a meritocracy. People need to.
What if the world is not?
Yeah.
What if
this is not real?
What if I told you the world is not a meritocracy? Would you believe that? Can you believe it?
I mean, I already know that. So some people
maybe
don't.
If you're watching, you don't know it. Anyway, yeah, the Bear record nominations, and I still feel like it could have done better. Probably will still win multiple Emmys, and by the time I do our final picks, I'll have Liza Colonze beating Hannah Einbinder, and it's sweeping writing and directing and winning everything. So there you go. Should we do drama next?
Sure.
So drama series, Joyce. When we said Shōgun led with 25 nominations, and again, still potentially underperformed because of missing acting nominations. But the other nominees were Three Body Problem for Netflix, Joyce. There we go. I had Loki, you had Ahsoka, and it ended up being Three Body Problem.
It was just another genre show.
Just
but it had the Netflix visibility.
The Netflix visibility is so key that this show got in. I know one of our commenters on YouTube, I remember, was like, I'm going to come back and dunk on you because Three Body Problem is going to win the Emmy. And I think I said, like,
win the Emmy?
I think they were like, said it was win competitive. And I was like, I don't think so. And I definitely poo-pooed
I mean,
that,
you can dunk on us for not predicting it for a nomination.
Definitely dunk on it for not predicting it. So there you go. The other nominees here were Fallout, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, Shōgun, Slow Horses, The Crown, The Gilded Age, and The Morning Show. 7 shows we have spent 3-4 months talking about and predicting in this category. So no surprises here.
Um, no, it was just, yeah, like that. It was just like that last spot. So it was like dealer's choice.
Yeah. Uh, in terms of
And
so
like Three Body Problem, no other above the line nomination. It's like
none.
another like Emily in Paris, right? Like
Yeah,
Cobra Kai.
it just is there
It's like
because it's on
instead of The
Netflix.
Gentleman, they went with Three Body Problem as like the big Netflix show.
Do you, I
And then
honestly,
if it's
I was
not week
wondering
two.
this. If The Gentleman was a drama, it's classified as a drama series, it would have gotten in here, right? Over Three Body Problem. Do you think?
Considering that I got a directing nomination, maybe.
Yeah, right.
So,
I mean, I think it could have like whatever. I think it would have been their big show would have probably gotten in here, and that's like I said, bad news then for Girls Five Eva, which means again, like we had predicted.
but you know what? I'm hoping that these two Emmy nominations for Girls Five Eva will compel Netflix to renew it for season
I,
4.
I'm going to tease something here. We're going to do emails in a little while because we're spending hours on this already. But many emails about the Girls Five Eva thumbnail, Joyce. Many.
Oh, because now there is something there because I was at someone's apartment over the weekend and we were watching we were like scrolling through Netflix and there is now art for Girls Five Eva.
So everyone told us there's art for Girls Five Eva, but they told us that right away. And I don't know, did you check yours? Maybe it's still ours is a fail.
I didn't check mine because I haven't watched
I'm checking right now.
an
I'm gonna see right now.
episode
I'm doing it live.
since May because the last time I watched an episode was in May before I talked to Renee Elise Goldsberry.
Sure. I'm looking right now. I'm gonna do this live. We were supposed to be talking
This
about
is
drama
hella boring for people right now.
we were watching. So I still don't have art. But according to every like literally 12 people emailed us and
Is it
commented.
because like we have like the
It,
screeners?
it must be because we have the screeners.
Like I
So
can check on my phone now.
check on your phone while I vamp more about these nominees.
Okay, talk about the
Uh
dramas.
so drama series. So Shogun definitely to me is gonna win, even with missing a few acting nominations. It didn't miss anything where I was like, oh, it should be
Yeah, see, look, I'm still,
yeah, same. I have the
yeah,
exact same thing, but we're the
yeah,
outliers,
yeah.
not the reality. Uh yeah, Shogun I still think has no problem winning here. And I think the way it shook out in its nominations, I mean Hiroyuki Sanada obviously without Cosmo Jarvis and lead actor, which we could do in a
Who
minute,
was
but like
not gonna hurt him anyway.
I know, but like it's really like nothing. Anna Sawai obviously will go. Like so I'm like I think this show is gonna do very well. Of the other nominees, I mean, did any of these to you overperform?
Very happy for Slow Horses getting series, Gary Oman, Jack Lowden, and writing and directing.
Mm-hmm.
Great showing. I think Fallout underperformed.
Well,
No,
underperformed.
underperformed.
So tell me
No
why.
Nolan in directing. No
Yeah.
guests. I know you were predicting Ella Purnell. I was not, so that's less of a surprise.
So it
But
got
it got a series and Walton Goggins and writing, I believe. And no guests either, right?
no,
Did it get
it got
oh
Nestor Carbonell, right? Was
no,
nominated.
Fallout, I mean.
Oh, for
Fallout.
Fallout. Right.
Yeah.
No, you're right. No guests.
Yeah.
None.
Yeah. So I mean I'm not that surprised because again, like I've always said that it felt like even though it had such huge fake streaming numbers, like it felt very concentrated with like the gamers and like that
Mm-hmm.
community, and it wasn't as pervasive in like the broader zeitgeist.
Yeah, no directing feels like a big miss. It did get writing, like you
Yeah.
said, but that's a huge how does it not get directing?
And also Shogun only got one directing too, so it's like not like Shogun was taking up 3 spots there,
No.
and Shogun over submitted and only got one, which is really good for them.
Really good. That
So
again, that shows
it
I
could
think
win writing and directing. So
it shows that they really paid attention to this. I mean,
and I think it also shows that like they like the show, but they don't love that show that much, like Succession style, to give it 3 directing nominations.
I also thought too in terms of that maybe this is just me because the way I like watch Shogun like we watched it like all in a bunch, right? Like on screeners and stuff. So obviously I was not experiencing it like week to week, but to me the episodes they were all very samey, right? Like Succession, I feel like, and that's not a knock. I mean, it just felt like I was watching like a 10-hour story, and obviously they're like stand out like Crimson Sky. So much happens that you're like, this is obviously an episode I need to pay attention
Oh
to.
yeah, with Shogun, I know like I don't actually know the episode titles of or like what happens in each episode. Like I
Yes,
know the
yes,
episode titles, but
yes,
I can't tell you
yes.
what happens in certain episodes.
Correct. And I was like, Succession was always much more easy. And the like shows that get like those, they're more. I just felt like Shogun felt like one big, like it could have been, like one thing. And Succession, those episodes, everything was like a standout episode to me. Like, you know what I mean? So I think that's probably also helped. But like you said, it's actually great that it didn't get a lot of nominations here because now it'll win for Crimson Sky, presumably.
Yeah, but these other like morning show, its first series nominations. Congratulations to the
Morning
morning
Show did
show.
really well, 16 nominations.
16 nominations and I believe 9 above the line acting. We know the actors love that show.
Yeah,
So,
it got 3 supporting actors, so it got Duplass, Ham, and Billy Crudup.
mhm,
It got both Reese and Jen for the first time,
mhm.
and then it got
It got
four.
every supporting actress except Juliana Margulies.
So Greta Lee, Holland Taylor, Nicole Bahari, and Karen Pittman all got in. So 4 of the 7 category slots in that category are morning show actresses.
This it feels like when 3 years ago, another weak year because of COVID, when The Handmaid's Tale came back with a vengeance with a bunch of nominations,
Yes.
right? It kind of feels like that. It's like this is a show. I mean, I guess you kind of say that with Only Murders as well. It's like these are shows that we like and are familiar with, and maybe like certain people were just kind of like on the fringes because there was too much competition, but now there's no competition and we're familiar with these shows and we're just going to pick these people.
And familiar with the actors. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I think like our rationale for, or like you said, you dropped like Takehiro Hira, right? I kept like all 3 of the Shogun actors in, but regardless, like they're not as recognizable to Western audiences, rightly or wrongly,
Yeah.
as like Mark Duplass, right?
Well, yeah, I was never dropping Mark because I was like, they know Mark Duplass. They know the Duplasses,
Yes,
and he was a former nominee.
yes.
So
Uh,
that's why I was so unsure with like the supporting actresses too of Shogun, but I just had them because I was like, I need to fill out the category. I mean, I should have just gone all in on morning show without Juliana
yeah, for
and
more
kept Christine Baranski.
because it was Elizabeth Debicki and Leslie Manville, and then the 4 morning show actresses, and then Christine Baranski for Gilded Age.
Yeah, like I was when Shogun was in limited, I was reluctant to add too many supporting people.
Yeah, once it moved to drama, I went crazy. I added everybody.
Yeah, and I was still kind of reluctant, and I added them just because there was room. But
Moika
yeah,
Hoshi, I feel like, is a big snub to me. I like Fumi Nikiato. I was not necessarily surprised. I guess if you would have told me yesterday that she doesn't get nominated from the future, I would have been like, okay, I'm not surprised by that. But I am surprised that Moika Hoshi did not get it.
I think I've said this before too with Moeka. She feels like it was a very online thing. Like she's a fan fave, but it was so online, and I don't know if that translates to the actual voter base, right?
I also wondered again. This is a show that a lot of these actors were not recognizable to Western audiences, right?
They're unknowns, and they didn't do your favorite thing campaign. We talked about this too. Like
And,
the only actors that were on the trail were Hiro, Anna, and Tadanobu.
and then
Cosmo did nothing.
no, and then Moika, the last day, it felt like the last day of like eligibility, they were like
Oh
sending
yeah,
out like we're gonna do
they
interviews.
offered a like
Yeah,
a
it was like,
junket.
oh, she's here. We're gonna do like a bunch of interviews, crash a bunch of things, and it was too late, obviously, right? You know, that's like another thing to think about. It just
Yeah,
was.
but that was just like Zoom press basically. Like I don't think she was at any events.
No, but I'm just saying, like any like campaigning did not happen until the very, very
Yeah,
end.
it's like I think, again, I think it's like they like the show a lot, but they just don't love it. It's not like that level of like a Succession.
Um, Other categories here. So lead actor, we've been talking about this. Idris Elba got in for Hijack Choice. The
You
other
had
nominees
it.
are
You
Donald
had him, and then
Glover.
you dropped him.
I dropped him for Cosmo. I had him in the whole time, and then I put Cosmo in, so I felt like a jerk. But I had 5 of these 6 because Donald Glover, Walton Goggins, Gary Oldman, Hiroyuki Sanada, and Dominic West round out the other nominees, which most people had, I would argue. But yeah, Idris Elba, I felt like he would get in until they switched Shogun here, and then I was like, oh, he's out. When Shogun came in, I dropped him and I dropped Tom Hiddleston for Hiroyuki and Cosmo.
Yeah. Where was Idris in the odds ultimately?
I don't know actually. Do you want to
Because I
look?
feel like Colin Farrell was above him.
I mean, Colin Farrell like hung around for a while. Sugar got 1
Yeah.
nomination. I think cinematography.
Um,
Let me look.
sure.
I can look here. Sugar,
Um,
outstanding cinematography, single camera series, half hour.
cool.
the Mandalorian style, the half hour for a show that's mostly 45 minutes.
Oh wait, no, I'm in comedy actor, huh? I need drama actor.
I gotta say, these headshots, Dominic West is from 1998. I don't know if you're
I
looking at
love all the
them.
headshots. I love like Andrew Scott and his wife beater.
I didn't even get there yet, but I'm just looking at these. Walton Goggins looks like a fucking star. I'm like, yeah, if they were on headshots, him or Donald Glover would win to me. But
So, okay, so Colin Farrell was 7th in the odds
yeah,
and Idris was 16th.
so I would have had Idris in there. Like, I mean, I had him in. I just dropped him for Cosmo. I don't think that was like a total fail, but I'm not surprised he got in. People
No,
love Idris Elba. They absolutely love him.
he was like the fake SAG Awards host.
And I think that's a show that like obviously wasn't going to get in series, but even in an even weaker year, I think it would have. It's very watchable. It's very much like Dad 24 style TV.
It's also an older show because it
Yes.
premiered last June.
Yeah.
So it's like they've had time to catch up on it.
And then drama actress Joyce. Nominees were Jennifer Aniston, Carrie Coon, Maya Erskine, Anna Sawai, Imelda Staunton, and Reese Witherspoon.
I had the wrong Carrie.
So we missed. I had Carrie Preston and Emma Stone. I had the other four though. I actually
Yeah,
dropped. I
Emma
didn't have.
Stone. Didn't you have Ella Purnell?
No, I didn't. I dropped her for Carrie Preston. I put her Carrie Preston back in.
Oh, and you kept Emma?
I kept Emma and I kept Maya and I kept let me see what I have. I kept Emma and I have Carrie Preston. And I kept Maya Erskine, Reese Witherspoon, Anna Sawai, and Jennifer Aniston. I put Carrie Preston in instead of Ella Purnell.
Um,
But it doesn't matter. So 4 to 6 for me.
yeah, for me, it was just like that last spot. And I picked the wrong Carrie. I always pick the wrong one when I have a choice.
Uh very, very happy for Maya Erskine, obviously. Just fantastic nomination.
Were you that worried? I wasn't that worried about her.
I was a little worried
Mr.
about
and Mrs.
her.
Smith did really well.
Mr. and Mrs. Smith like overperformed, and I think it did very, very well.
Hmm.
And I was worried about her because I think she could have easily dropped out just as well. First of all, I didn't even realize this. Like, and I talked to her, and she was like saying, like, a lot of her talking points, I guess, were about like, I guess people found that character unlikable. Did you ever get that sense? Like, I never thought of her as unlikable, but like, she talked about like how it was like, oh, making sure like she was like not likable, but like getting the audience to root for her. I'm like, you're always rooting for her. She's the smart one. Donald Glover's the dumbass.
What does she mean? Like when they were making it, that was their concern, or did she have those reactions after the show premiered?
I think during it, I guess, like while she was making,
I'm
like,
not surprised, like while making it, they were concerned about that. But I don't think like when the show dropped, I don't think people
okay,
found her
yeah, I didn't like. I
unlikable.
was just like, it never felt like she was like an
No, but
unlikable
I'm not
character.
surprised if that was a concern during filming.
Okay, I never thought she was like an unlikable character.
Yeah.
Anyway, Carrie Coon getting is great. I saw her at an event this past weekend, Joyce.
I know you were at his three daughters.
Yeah,
So
there was Carrie Coon right there. I didn't
uh,
talk to her. I don't talk to these people.
no, why do you need to harass them? No.
Anna Sawai, congratulations on your Emmy, though. Here, I guess.
Yeah, well, while you were there, I was at TCA and she won the TCA award,
Hmm.
which is gender neutral.
Yes.
She is the 9th consecutive woman to win that category,
Interesting.
and she was crying during so
How
she
neutral is
cried
it
at
then,
Emmys too.
Joyce?
Hmm?
How neutral is it then in that case?
Well, a lot of men before that.
Yeah, I guess so.
So
It's always been one, though.
it's always been gender neutral. So same thing in comedy. But yeah, she beat Hero because Hero was also nominated in the category. Hero was also there. So they won 4 awards. So
Nice.
like I've said before, I think Hero was very proud to be a producer, so he'll be more happy with the producer win for Shōgun than his lead actor win at the Emmys.
Quickly here, supporting actor choice: Tatsunobu Asano, Billy Crudup, Mark Duplass, John Hamm. We mentioned these. Taking Hero to Hero, Jack Lowden, and Jonathan Pryce. So neither Salim Da nor Khalida Dalla for the crown.
Yeah, and again, I picked the wrong crown person to.
We all just were out on. I was just out on Price. I was like, why would he get in over the other crown people? And then it was just like, of course he would, because he's got 2 nominations here. He gets a guest acting nominee as well.
I mean, I've had him before. It was just how many. It was the same thing with like Shōgun. It's like how many of these actors do I want in here? Because you could have done triple Crown or
Yes.
Triple Shogun,
Yes.
or Triple Morning Show.
Hmm.
So I do like some variety. There's more variety in this category than there was last year, which was just Succession and White Lotus. So, and I mean, Jack getting in is great because I really thought Gary would be the only acting nomination. So this shows that actors also watch the show because Gary could also just been like half of a name check,
Yeah.
you know. But it's like they're watching the show, and it's like one of, if not the like best show on Apple. So, and then yeah, I think like Jonathan getting in over Khalid and Salim, I think it's kind of like they are not so much like back on the crown, but I think it's just he is like, you know, this is like the second season with him portraying like a major character, whereas like they're really just guest stars,
And they
you know?
like that character, obviously.
Yeah, and it's like him
So,
and Imelda, so like
yeah.
they both got it in
Yeah.
this year. So
And then supporting actress, we mentioned this, but just in case you didn't hear, Christine Baranski, Nicole Bahari, Elizabeth Debicki, Greta Lee, Leslie Manville, Karen Pittman, and Holland Taylor. Sure. We talked a lot about that one
we
already.
don't we're never gonna talk about this category again because Elizabeth's winning. So it's gonna be like the supporting categories at the Oscars.
Yeah. Here's a fun one. Guest actor, I got washed out here, but the nominees were I would if anybody got all five of these, this would be like a miracle, I would say. Nestor Carbonell for Shōgun, Paul Dano for Mr. and Miss Smith, which I did have because I was like, man, he's great on the show. If you watch the show, you would obviously love him. Tracy Letts for Winning Time, which is absolutely LOL. My favorite show, dearly departed Winning Time. Jonathan Pryce for Slow Horses, and John Turturro for Mr. and Mrs. Smith, which feels like the most name check. How does Wagner Moura not get in for Mr. and Mrs. Smith when Parker Posey does? Like, how do you put one in and not the other?
I mean, yesterday I dropped Wagner for Ron Perlman, my fave. But I don't
Turturro,
think it's not the same as like how do you vote for one and not the other? Because I think most people probably do. It's just there are different categories. It's different competition. Like Parker Posey is not dealing with Nestor Carbonell and Paul Dano and Tracy Letts and Jonathan Pryce
no,
and
but I
John
think
Turturro,
if
you
you're,
know?
he's not, but I think if you're like, he's definitely like, I don't know, Turturro's fine on the show. I really like the show, but I was just like, I feel like he's like the most name check of these five.
Yeah, but I don't think it means like no one voted for Wagner Moura. I
No,
think it's
he
just
probably was
like
sixth or whatever, maybe.
obviously these other people got more nominations than he did. Like he probably he could have gotten the same amount of nominations as Parker Posey,
Right.
but it's just different totals with the other competition in their categories. So
And then guest actress, we did, I think I got all five of these. Michaela Cole, Claire Foy, Marcia Gay Harden, Sarah Paulson, and Parker Posey. Sarah
yeah,
gets her rightful funny
the
comedy actress
superior performance.
guest nominee in the drama category, and she is absolutely a hoot in Mr. and Mrs. Smith. So,
Um,
congratulations to Claire Foy and yet another Emmy. Is that what you're telling me here?
I mean, why deny the inevitable? It's gonna be crazy for when she wins 3 Emmys for a show she was a regular on for 2 seasons.
Incredible. Uh, we mentioned these in passing, but I guess the directing nominees were Mr. and Mrs. Smith, Shōgun, Slow Horses, The Crown, Morning Show, and Winning Time, which snuck in.
Great for winning time.
And Sally Richardson Whitfield is actually like an incredible director, and like was like it's like a very very deserving nomination. I'm just like impressed that they were able to remember all the way back to last
But it
year.
wasn't, well, it was early. It premiered,
Mhm.
early in the cycle. It was in the summer last
Maybe this
year.
will help a comeback, Joyce. Can they bring it back?
Well, the Zaz is gonna uncancel winning time.
And then
I
writing.
want another season just because I want them to send another companion like
So good.
PDF about like the facts.
The show was great. It was a really good show. And then the other writing, we said Fallout, Mr. and Mrs. Smith. Uh, Fallout was for the end, which is the pilot, I believe, right? Or is that
Yes, it's the pilot.
Mr. and Mrs. Smith gets the pilot as well, first date. And then Shōgun for Anjin and Crimson Sky. Slow Horses for Negotiating with Tigers, written by Will Smith, but not that Will Smith, and not the Dodgers catcher Will Smith choice. Another Will
No,
Smith.
this is
And then
a USC scripter winner, Will Smith.
yes. And then the Crown wins nominated for Ritz, Peter Morgan, and Mariel Shea Bonnie Claire.
Yeah. I can actually see Slow Horses winning this. Like, the writers have taste, you know?
You
So,
think Shogun could split?
like maybe. I mean, I think of the Shoguns, it would probably be Crimson Sky.
Yes.
Um, but I can see Slow Horses winning this one. Um, I mean, I'm not surprised it got in here. I think, you know, most people probably would predict it here. But the directing nomination for Slow Horses was a surprise to me at least. So,
And then I guess we'll quickly do limited series, and then we should do emails, Joyce, because
which
there's
is so boring because it was just chalk.
limited. It was Baby Reindeer, Fargo, Lessons in Chemistry, Ripley, and True Detective. That was the top 5 in the odds as well. We
Yeah.
were out on Ripley. You went with All the Light We Cannot See, and I think I ended up with Masters of the Air, both of which wildly underperformed.
Ripley's still Netflix, so visibility. So
Uh, TV movie, Joyce, we'll do quickly before we get to the other ones, just because I actually had I believe I had Unfrosted and it got in. Oh no, I dropped Unfrosted. I can't believe I went dirty on Jerry like that. Uh, because I was like, oh wow, look at me. Now these are Mr. Monk's Last Case, Quiz Lady, Red, White, and Royal Blue, Scoop, and Unfrosted. Again, you cannot underestimate Netflix. Gets 2 of the 5 here.
mhm.
Okay, so actor in a limited series, anthology series, or movie choice. It was Matt Bomer for Fellow Travelers, Richard Gadd, John Hamm, Tom Hollander, and Andrew Scott.
As soon as they said Matt Bomer, I was like, it's just gonna be the top five. I was like, it's over. It's gonna be boring.
So, and pour one out for Wash Shande, Joyce.
I mean, I already had him out, but I'm like, there's not. I had because I put, like I said, I put Tony Shalhoub back in. I was like, Tony's not getting in. I was like, because I didn't think Tom Hollander was gonna miss. I think people want Tom Hollander to miss, but I was like, I'm not gonna drop him. And it was just it was like a question of, like, for me, was it gonna be Matt Bomer or Tony Shalhoub? And it was Matt Bomer, so I was like, and then Tony is out.
And maybe again, like, yeah. Feud did really well. 10 nominations, Joyce.
Um, yeah, but not. Do you think it just missed series?
I do. I actually thought before they got to it, I was like, it's actually getting in. I wondered if like Lessons in Chemistry would get in because they both had 9 nominations going into that, basically. And I was like, or maybe whatever. I was just like, oh, Feud had 10, I guess, by then, and Lessons in Chemistry had 9. I was just like, I wonder if it'll get in.
I think Feud, like, it's still a very, it's like actor friendly, the types of roles it has. I mean, it just wasn't like a huge hit, and obviously it's period, so it's gonna get like crafts stuff.
I did get
It got
directing, I
Yeah, I
think,
got a
right?
surprise directing nomination
Gus
for
Van
Gus
Sant.
Van Sant. So, you know what? The directing branch, they make choices.
Let me ask you this. The way these nominations shook out overall, who's best positioned to win this lead actor category?
I think it's just gonna be Richard.
You don't think it could be Andrew now because Ripley has the series nomination to
I mean, maybe
post?
Reindeer is gonna win.
Okay. I think this one's in doubt more than it could have been.
I don't like what you're gonna predict, Andrew.
I could see Andrew winning. I think Richard will win writing, and I could see him
I mean, I
obviously
think
winning
Richard will win
series.
writing, but I
I
think he could just win this too.
Yeah. Uh, Lead actress was chalk. Good congratulations to Naomi Watts, Jodie Foster, Brie Larson, Juno Temple, Sofia Vergara, and Naomi Watts. I had Kate Winslet. I forget who you had.
I had Uzo.
Uzo Aduba.
That was as because Jodie was first, because otherwise Uzo.
That was
Like,
it.
again, I was like, it's gonna be chalk.
Yep.
I was like, Naomi is in. It's not Kate or whoever else.
Uh, Supporting actor in a limited anthology series or movie. Jonathan Bailey for Fellow Travelers, Robert Downey Jr., the only sympathizer nominee. That is shocking. Not even Park Chan-wook could get into this. Nothing. Just they were repelled. They were repelled by the crown, by the curse and the sympathizer. Just repelled by these shows. Tom Goodman Hill for Baby Reindeer, John Hawkes, Lamorne Morris, Louis Pullman, and Treat Williams, a posthumous nomination for a few.
I had Treat in for forever, and I dropped him.
I dropped him. Because we were talking last week. I took every feud out. I should have just left in. The people I had in were Tree Williams and Tom Hollander. I still would have had Naomi Watts wrong, but I was like,
I
oh.
had all the feud actors in for ages. I had Naomi, Tom, Diane, and Tree, and they all got it.
So and the funny thing too, so you talk about Lamorne Morris, and we're gonna
And
add
I
him.
didn't put him in.
I had Joe Keery and
Sam.
Sam, both of them were like the breakout characters about like on that show, and Lamorne gets in, which I
I
think is
love that
great.
Lamorne got in though, and I was like, oh, I should have just put him in. It's
I
like,
character people really liked, had a sympathetic role more so than like Sam and Joe Keery, uh, and actually campaigned. They all kind of did, but I felt like Lamorne was out there, so good for him. Who is winning this category now, Joyce?
I have no idea. I think the internet will definitely want Jonathan Bailey to win, obviously.
So I'm sure he'll be like first or second in the odds by the time we're doing this next week.
Yeah, and then they'll dine out on his Critics' Choice win, which like doesn't really mean anything, but like he is the only person who has hardware to show
Who is
for
the
it.
closest approximation in this group to Paul Walter Hauser, basically?
I mean, it would be him because you would argue that he's coming from the winter and he won something, right?
So he would win. Is it possible John Hawkes can win? True
That would be
Detective.
great. Imagine if he won this and song.
True Detective overperformed.
I mean, it didn't overperform for me. Like I think people think because of all the misogynists who hate the show that it was going to underperform. Like no, it did
19 is a
really
lot, though.
well.
19 is a lot.
I mean, it rebounded from last season, which flopped, not flopped, but like, underperformed.
Uh,
Um,
do you,
but like this was a well-received season, except for Nick Pizzolatto and
you think Tom
misogynist.
Goodman Hill could win?
I think that's like too evil of a because it's not like a well-rounded type of
Yeah, it's a
character.
fully
Yeah,
you're unbearable evil. Uh,
yeah.
very interesting. All I know is Robert Downey Jr. is not probably.
No, it would be wild if he still somehow won. That would be total name check if he still
I don't know. I just don't think they'll go there.
no, but I don't know who's gonna win this.
This supporting actress a little easier to maybe figure out. Dakota Fanning gets in for Ripley, shows Ripley's strength. We toyed with this last week that she would potentially get in. Definitely is like a sympathetic character on the show, I guess I would argue. Maybe the cat's the most sympathetic character. Lily Gladstone for Under the Bridge, which is LOL to me. The only nomination for Under the Bridge, and it's Lily Gladstone.
And it's the wrong supporting performer to
Like
nominate.
way wrong. No disrespect to Lily Gladstone, who is very good on the show. But if they watched the show at all, it would have been Archie Punjabi or Chloe Guidry or one of the other kids. Or I'm like, I just think this is a complete name check, right?
Oh yeah, I think it's like half. I mean, she's not bad on the show, but I
She's
think it's
good.
definitely half name check. And again, like the limited categories more so than comedy and drama went very chalk, and not so much the supporting categories, but I could also see, like Lily is high in the odds. Like I'll just vote for her.
Yeah.
You know, she
Jessica
was
Gunning for
like I
Baby
think she was like
Reindeer.
eighth or
Yeah.
something.
Yeah. Jessica Gunning for Baby Reindeer, Asian Naomi King for Lessons in Chemistry, Diane Lane for Feud, Nava Mao for Baby Reindeer, and Callie Reese for True Detective. So very, very chalk.
Yesterday I dropped Diane for Archie, so I should have just kept her.
Fantastic. Archie felt like she would actually get in. And they clearly watched. They didn't watch it. Maybe they didn't watch Under the Bridge. It only got one nomination. So I'm like, I'm not willing to say they watched it, but they know Lily Gladstone. And so there you go. Just to finish out here, directing Baby Reindeer, Fargo, Noah Hawley, Gus Van Sant for Feud, Millicent Shelton, DGA winner, right, for Lessons in Chemistry.
No, Sarah Dina Smith won the DGA.
Oh, right. That's right. And so she's not nominated. That's so funny. Ripley for Steve Zalian and Isa Lopez for True Detective Night Country.
Mm-hmm.
And then writing, Baby Reindeer, Black Mirror, Fargo, Fellow Travelers with the writing nomination, Ripley, and True Detective.
Black Mirror comeback nomination. They're still into again. They're like returning to these things that they used to like or have always liked, but maybe just miss cycles.
This felt like this really felt like 2020, like the COVID year when they just had like not a lot to nominate.
2021.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's also kind of natural to return to things that you have always liked or you did like, then try something new, or maybe you did try something new and you didn't like it as much.
Like we said, the best thing for a lot of these winter shows was the fact that The spring shows did not perform as they could have.
Yes. Yeah, they're like the biggest for in limited, like the biggest breakout show was Baby Reindeer, which was an unexpected hit, you know? So, but like Sympathizer just tanked, unfortunately. So it couldn't even muster those like writing or directing
I mean,
nominations.
the Sympathizer and Regime fared way worse than Winning Time. That's a bad look for HBO and
Yeah,
Max.
but again, like Winning Time was also early again, it's like, and I mean it's a good show. It's just like it was canceled. And I think people might have also been deterred into predicting it maybe because it's not like it got a ton of nominations for season one either,
No,
so you might think it's like it's canceled. They just kind of buried it because it moved from HBO linear to Max.
one of the few shows that went the other way.
Yeah, and they cut it down to just 7 episodes for its final season. Um, but I guess it's not, but it's more broad appealing than, I mean, like the Regime is heavy satire.
Yeah.
And it's very polarizing. And I think the Sympathizer is a little too arty for basics.
We said
But
this at the
Winning Time is
time.
very basic.
Yeah, we said this at the time.
Yeah.
I contain multitudes because I like both shows.
Yeah, I'm very basic. So
Let's do emails, Joyce. We have a bunch to get through. We'll try to do this quick because this is already long. Email us at slugfest@goldderby.com. I guess we'll do our full predictions, our first predictions next week, Joyce. What do you think? That could be fun.
what are you gonna do in supporting actor in limited?
You'll have to find out. I don't know. I'm going to start with Mike, our old friend, the game master. Hello, future Joyce and future Chris. It's me again, game master and Mike Flanagan's burner account, Mike. Just kidding. I'm not Mike Flanagan, but I appreciate that someone out there considered the idea that I might be the acclaimed horror director. If that was the case, I would have shared some scoop about my plans for the next Exorcist movie. However, since I'm not Mike Flanagan, there is no Exorcist scoop. Sorry, Exorcist fans. Also, I want to give a shout out to those who misunderstood my point in last week's email. LOL, how hilarious and unsurprising. We should really open the schools again. I also want to congratulate Anna Sawai and Gene Smart for their TCA wins. In case they're listening, Joyce and the TCA gang made wise choices in their voting. Not the only email, Joyce, to touch on the TCA awards. I guess we'll get to those in a second.
Oh, really? That sounds ominous, though.
You'll have to
Doesn't
keep
sound as
listening.
positive as Mike's.
Anyway, we're going to take a break from playing a game this week, and instead we're going to discuss the Emmy nominations. I'm writing this on July 13th, days before the announcement. By the time you're reading this, the Emmy nominations have been announced. So your future Joyce and future Chris in this case, what I'm going to do here is I will channel my Nostradamus, look at my crystal ball, and share my predictions on the scenarios that could happen in the Emmy nominations announcements. Then you will say whether I'm right or wrong, since you have the list in your hands when you're reading this. Let's see how Mike did, Joyce. I didn't even look at this.
Wow.
Shōgun led the number of nominations. The second place is The Crown because of the craft categories. 1 out of 2 ain't bad.
He's saying The Crown overall, or
Yeah.
just in drama?
He says,
Because it is true in drama.
I guess let's give him credit then. Let's give him credit.
Okay.
The Curse earned 0 above the line nominations, even Emma Stone.
I mean, 0 altogether.
That's pretty good though. This one, wrong, I would say. Mr. and Mrs. Smith underperformed, especially in the guest categories.
Oh no, overperform.
Imelda Staunton did not make it.
She did.
This
Narrator.
is not my burner account, Joyce, just FYI. Tom Hiddleston's charming campaign was successful as he made it on the drama lead actor list.
It was not.
Selenators are happy because Selena Gomez finally made it in.
They are.
Palm Royale earned 0 above the line nominations, even Kristen Wiig.
Oh wow. Wrong.
That was a tough L, but this one's pretty good. The Bear missed out on an acting nomination that we're expecting it to get.
Oh, multiple.
So that's pretty good. Janelle James is out. Lisa Ann Walter is in. Side note, I recently watched the 1998 Parent Trap for the first time.
For the first time. Oh my gosh. Where were you?
The 5th spot in comedy lead actor did not go to Theo James or even Kelsey Grammer. It went to someone unexpected. True. There was a 6th slot. Also went to neither one of these guys. So Hacks overperformed in the guest categories.
It didn't.
One of the TV movie nominees went to a random Disney Plus or Hulu movie that we did not even think of.
No.
Expats earned a surprise acting nomination.
It did not.
Feud, the Capote versus Swans was shut out above the line except for Tom Hollander.
It was not.
The Sympathizer earned a couple of surprise nominations.
Oh, sadly, no.
Hands on a high. Maya Rudolph had a great morning because she has 4 nominations.
She had a very, very, very good morning.
That is all for now. I hope my crystal ball was mostly accurate. Before we go, Chris and Joyce, please remind everyone that John Cena in The Bear is not a cameo. He's a full-fledged guest star. I've
Yeah,
seen a lot of critics and pundits misuse the word cameo when referring to a TV guest star, LOL. Cena is definitely not a cameo in episode 5. Thanks and have a great day. See you next week.
thank you, Mike. This was also one of my pet peeves last year with season 2 of The Bear when everyone was calling all the stars, the guest stars in Fish's cameos, celebrity cameos. No, they were full-fledged guest stars. A cameo is like Donald Trump in Home Alone 2, Lost in New York.
Or Bradley Cooper in Abbott
In Abbott
Elementary.
Elementary, yeah.
One is from David L. Joyce back, who I
Oh,
saw in the chat.
the chat.
On the Emmys when you watch on YouTube.
Oh, you read that thing? I turned that off.
No, I keep it up. Hi, Joyce and Chris. David Hell here with the Emmy nominations hot off the presses. I have to say I'm very disappointed in the Television Academy for nominating some of the worst shows this year. I can't believe Palm Royale and Feud Capote vs. Swamps way overperformed, despite the very mixed and negative reviews from both critics and audiences, when there's so many better options like Under the Bridge and We Were the Lucky Ones. The one that made me really upset was Under the Bridge not getting even into casting for the talented kids, and Natalie Holt not getting in for score for Loki. Joyce was right, the music branch truly screws up. But I hope they vote for James Newton Howard's beautiful All the Light We Cannot See score and Daniel Pemberton's banger Slow Horses score. I was, however, very happy with the overperformance and all the nominations for Only Murders, especially Selena Gomez finally getting in, as well as True Detective and Slow Horses. Do you guys think since True Detective overperformed in nominations, does this prove my theory that it can beat Baby Reindeer since it has the lowest nominations in the category? I think True Detective could win because it's more broad appealing and it's an easier watch. And if Baby Reindeer wins by default, it will really annoy me because it's the limited series I like the least. I don't understand everyone's obsession for this show when it's too dark. I don't think anyone would say, hey, you know what show's the most watchable? Baby Reindeer. This is not my burner, by the way.
I mean, I wouldn't think you would write something that long anyway. So,
I also am not a fan of Baby Reindeer Choice, but I think
I mean, I've said before, I think people have overrated it. Like, I think it's good, but I think it's a favorite for reasons that I don't necessarily agree with.
Okay.
Or like I like other aspects of it that is not like the consensus. But I think like it's a like I don't think it's a terrible show, and I think like it was just like the bigger surprise hit.
Yeah, I actually think it is absolutely, to me, it's like absolutely going to win because I don't think I don't think the voters are thinking about this category at all. Based on how they did the nominations for this, what you said, limited series had like the least surprises. Like they've just given up this category. There's like Baby Reindeer is going to win and just sweep through. So
Yeah, I think people like surprises like that. It was like, oh my God, like it had great word of mouth, like that's why it did so well like throughout the spring. And I it's like it's an interesting take on it's a true story, obviously, and it's like it's not like a black and white take on like a stalker story.
right.
And I think I understand if you personally don't like it and you don't want it to win. But that kind of feels like you're just anti-dicting it
Yeah, it's
and
like,
ignoring reality. I'm like, I mean, I would love for True Detective to like I prefer True Detective to Baby Reindeer, but I don't think it's beating it.
I would put Ripley in. How about that?
You would vote for Ripley?
I think so.
I can't wait until I get the anonymous ballots from my friends for winners.
Uh, this one is from Ginny, who emailed us at slugfest@goldderby.com. Hi, Joyce and Chris. What nomination surprised you the most today? I, for one, am surprised that anyone anywhere voted for Palm Royale. Is it just name recognition? That's from Ginny. When Palm Royale taking shots all over the place here.
I mean, you're the Palm Royale stand here, so you defend it.
Like I did before, I think the finale was good. I think people voted on based on the finale, truly. I just think that's it. I don't think the rest of the season was as good. The finale was good.
I think the show was fine. Like it wasn't like, a huge hit, obviously, and it wasn't like also widely acclaimed either. But I think, they also campaigned it a lot, and
They
it has
absolutely.
a lot of famous people in it who have a lot of famous friends too. So like, it's all about connections too.
Not
Like,
a meritocracy, is that what you're saying?
yeah. So, but I don't know what, I mean, I haven't even finished looking through all the nominations yet, so I don't know what surprised you the most.
I guess, I mean, yeah, I haven't finished looking through either. I guess I was surprised a little by the like all the stuff we talked about. I mean, the Bear overperforming, setting a record and still underperforming. I did not really have on my bingo card, I would say.
I mean, I remember seeing like people predicting The Bear to get like 30 nominations, or something
So,
like
yeah,
that. Like, it's not gonna get that high. Like, Ted
no,
couldn't even get that high.
no. Uh, this one is from Emily. With regard to the drama categories, do you think it's all Shoguns to lose, or might something like Slow Horses, which earned drama series lead actor, supporting actor, guest actor, writing, and directing nods, be able to succeed?
I think it would still be Shogun, but I mean, maybe I'll put Slow Horses in too.
How?
It
I would go.
overperformed.
It definitely overperformed, and I just
I mean,
don't.
like, what would you put in two? Like, Fallout underperformed.
I wouldn't put Fallout.
You would probably put Mr. and Mrs. Smith.
I would put Mr. and Mrs. Smith because it got all of those. It's similar. It got all of those categories basically, right? It got directing, writing, actor, actress, and a few guests. So I would put Mr. and Mrs. Smith probably in two. Uh, this one is from a longtime FX fan, not not someone who's emailed before. This
Oh,
anonymous email, Joyce. Not judgmental TV fan either.
okay.
Hi, Joyce and Chris. Between The Bear, What We Do in the Shadows, Shogun, Reservation Dogs, and Feud, FX really killed it this year, which is pretty cool. I guess this also means John Landgraf won't have anything to complain about for a bit, and it links to an article about, I guess, from the Winter TCA, maybe? That we
Oh
will.
yeah, because like because that's when he was asked about like res dogs, and he
Yes.
said that
There is no
it's
perfect
not a
system.
perfect system. Yes.
There you go.
Mhm.
We should never underestimate John Landgraf, is I think a big takeaway of these nominations.
I mean, you remember I put in res dogs after Winter TCA because he said that. I was
I
very
should have just
upset.
kept it in.
He did not have an exec session last week, summer TCA, which ends today. Um, but but I guess it doesn't really matter because it was pre-nominations anyway, because usually this is the first in-person summer TCA since 2019, but usually summer TCA is like after Emmy nominations. And so a lot of networks get to gloat about their Emmy nominations, which FX has definitely done before. Like 8 years ago, they just did a OJ panel just to like boast about their nominations and how successful this is, and they got the whole cast back. Cuba Gooding Jr. was late, and then Sarah Paulson was talking, and then he just like barks from the back, is yelling her name out, and then they had an empty seat next to him, and she's like, "Get your ass in here."
Wow.
So,
Great.
but yeah, it's like so it kind of sucks that one, he didn't do an exec session because it's so unlike him not to do one anyway, but that it was also pre Emmy nominations, because he definitely would have gloated about res dogs getting in. I mean, these other ones, they've gone in Shadows and The Bear obviously before, and Original Feud. So
Mhm. Two more emails, Joyce, then we're going to go. This one's from Hannah. Hi, Joyce and Chris. Which show overperformed more, The Morning Show or Mr. and Mrs. Smith?
I would say Mr. and Mrs. Smith, because the morning show performance was expected, I would
And it
say.
was actor driven.
It's always been actor driven.
Mr. and Mrs. Smith feels like a more diverse
Yes.
collection of nominees, even though they both got 16 nominations.
Yes. But yeah, it's a morning show, like we knew it was going to get a ton of acting nominations. It's the reverse Shogun. So, and we also knew that it wasn't going to get into writing, because it's never gotten into writing, and
Still
it did.
didn't.
So
Last one. This one is from David, another David. Hi, Joyce and Chris. I know today's big news is the Emmy nominations, but I have to bring up the TCA awards. The Career Achievement Award for Andre Braugher is kind of gross. Are you only honoring him because he died? What's going on here? That's from David. Joyce, I don't actually have any idea what this is. I did not pay a lick of attention to the TCA awards. I'm sorry. I apologize to you because I know you're
You don't need to apologize. I don't care.
a TCA
Like,
fan.
why are you apologizing to me?
So what is
Um,
that? What does that mean?
there are two like special awards. It's the Heritage Award, which goes to a TV show, and the Career Achievement Award, which goes to a person. So like they used to reveal the nominees for these categories too, but now they don't. So now we get to just make our selections when we do our nomination ballots. Like we still get 4 slots for each category, so we like write whatever. And so like they're never publicly announced, like the options.
Okay.
And yeah, so Andre Braugher won Career Achievement Award. And like the last couple years there's been like similar, it feels like very narrative driven type of voting for these, because 4 years ago, I guess now, we also gave it to Alex Trebek, and that was right before he died.
Okay.
So it's like similar like that. It's like, would like you have voted for him otherwise, you know? And then 3 years ago, this one really bothered me. It was the first season of Hacks, and like Jean won individual. And then we also gave it to her, Career Achievement to her. And I was like, what the fuck? It's like, you're clearly like, you would not have voted for her for this were it not for Hacks, and she's back in the public consciousness, right? Like I did not vote for her to win that at all. So it's like stuff like that. It's like, it just feels weird. You know, it's like, would Andre Braugher have gone this had he not died this year? I don't think so.
Interesting.
So, and then 2 years ago, I think it was a tie with Ted Danson and Steve Martin.
Who would you have given it to?
I don't even remember who the options were in the end, but so every year I nominate Dick Wolf for my friend who loves Law and Order.
Okay.
So he's never gotten it before. I think this year I also or for the nominating portion, I also did Julia Louis-Dreyfus. I think I voted for Conan. Conan was an option. So I
There
voted
you
for Conan. Yeah.
All right.
But yeah.
Email us at slugfest@golderby.com. We'll be back next week, Joyce, with our first official episode of Phase 2.
And then we'll just leave limited supporting actor blank.
We got to make our picks. You got to pick something. I'm making you pick something next week.
I'll pick anyone but Jonathan Bailey because I know he'll be first.
Okay, that sounds good. All right, we'll talk to you then, Joyce. Bye.